Hello, and welcome to the Food Safety and Sanitation presentation. I'm Jen Weaver, and today I'm here with Jennifer Patrick and Holly Longo, and we're going to talk to you a little bit about food safety and sanitation today.
Lesson 1, Employee Health and Good Personal Hygiene Practices. Importance of good personal hygiene practices, symptoms, and illness that must be reported to a supervisor, how and when to properly wash hands, preventing bare hand contact with ready-to-eat foods. It all begins with personal hygiene and proper attire. Report to work in good health, clean, and dressed in clean attire. Change apron when it becomes soiled. Wash hands properly, frequently, and at the appropriate times. Keep fingernails trimmed, filed, and maintained. Keep fingernails short and without artificial nails and nail polish. Do not wear any jewelry except for a plain ring, such as a wedding band. Treat and bandage wounds and sores immediately. When hands are bandaged, single-use gloves must be worn. Report any illness to your manager. Cover any lesions containing pus with a bandage. If the lesion is on your hand or wrist, cover it with an impermeable dressing and single-use gloves. Eat, drink, and chew gum only in designated break areas where food or food contact surfaces may not become contaminated. Wear your hairnet, hat, and cap while in the kitchen. Please watch the next video.
Hello, and welcome to the Create Common Good Kitchen. Is a very important part of working in any place where they prepare food. Grocery stores, restaurants, cafeterias, and food manufacturing plants. There is more to making good food than simply making it taste good. To help you learn a little bit more about what we have to do to keep our food safe, let's watch Katie as she gets ready to work in the kitchen. Let's see how Katie does. Watch for what she does wrong and see how many mistakes you can count. How many mistakes did you count? 5? 10? There were 15 mistakes. Let's go back and see what Katie should have done. Katie showed up to work looking a little sick and in dirty clothes. She didn't put away her coat properly, and she didn't put on her kitchen clothes. If you are feeling sick, make sure to tell your manager. Always arrive to work well rested and clean. Take a shower before you arrive. We have one here if you would like to use it. There are several places to put your personal items. Hang coats and jackets on the rack by the ladies' bathroom. Any smaller items can go in the lockers. Clean chef's jackets go on this rack. Dressing the part is an important part for food safety. What is Katie wearing that isn't right? What about now? Take off all jewelry and watches. Ladies, make sure your hair is pulled back in a bun. Here's what it should look like. Always wear closed-toed shoes. Wear clean clothes. Everyone needs to wear a hat. If you'd like, you can also wear a chef's jacket. Katie walks into the kitchen and she doesn't wash her hands. She puts on her apron and goes straight to work. She rubs her nose and sneezes into her gloved hands. Then she touches her hair, returning immediately to her onions. Michelle comes in to give Katie a job. She shakes hands with Michelle, keeping her gloves on, who asks her to put away some raw chicken. Katie touches the raw chicken, which covers her gloves in bacteria, and then goes straight back to her onions. Next, Katie uses the restroom. She does not take off her apron when she goes into the restroom. When she is finished, she does not wash her hands properly. Last, Katie comes back into the kitchen without washing her hands. You must always remember to wash your hands whenever you come into the kitchen. Let's watch Katie as she shows us the proper way to wash our hands. First, rinse your hands under hot water. If it is too hot, add a little bit of cold water. We want it as hot as you can get it without hurting your hands. Get some soap and lather up. Make sure to get between your fingers, under your fingernails, and your upper arms. Rinse off the soap. Dry your hands with a towel and turn off the water. The whole process should take 20 seconds. What other times do we need to wash our hands? If your hands are dirty, if you've touched your face or hair, if you've used your phone, if you've just used the restroom, or if you've changed your gloves. Remember, gloves are not to keep your hands clean, but to keep the food clean. Be very aware of what you are touching at all times. These are the times when you must change your gloves. If you leave your station, even if only for a moment, if you shake someone's hand, if you touch your face or hair, if you've changed jobs, like dishwashing to something else, changed products, especially raw meat, to fruits or vegetables, if you've touched garbage, if one of your gloves has a cut or tear. If in doubt, change your gloves. Do not worry about wasting or throwing away the gloves. We want to keep food safe. Always take off your apron before using the bathroom. All employees must wash their hands after using the bathroom. Use proper hand washing technique and use the towel to open the door. Katie returns to work and feels like having a snack. Her granola contaminates the onions. Next, she takes a drink and it spills all over. She does not clean her cutting board, and now the food must be thrown away. We can make people very sick by contaminating our products with allergens or bacteria. No eating or drinking by the food you are preparing. If you want a snack, you must eat away from food preparation areas. You may also eat at the family meal table. If you have coffee, tea, water, or any other types of drinks, it must stay away from food prep areas. You may take quick breaks to take a drink in one of these areas, but do not keep it by food. These are the basics of food safety. If you remember to practice good hygiene and cleanliness, we can keep our customers safe and happy. Remember, safe food is good food.
Don't work sick. How to prevent foodborne illness. Report any instances of vomiting, diarrhea, sore throat with fever, jaundice, wounds on the hands or arms, if you've been diagnosed with a foodborne illness or you've been exposed to a foodborne illness. School employee health and personal hygiene reporting illness.
Good morning. Are you Sicky School Cafeteria? Margie speaking.
Hi, Marge. It's me, Chris.
I'm not going to be able to make it into work today.
I'm really sick.
Oh, what are your symptoms? Nauseated, diarrhea, just overall yucky feeling. But it's killing me that I'm letting the team down by not coming in today. Oh, Chris, you're doing the right thing by calling in and not coming in and exposing the rest of us, especially the students. You are doing the right thing. Could be a foodborne illness. Stay home and call me tomorrow.
Always communicate the following symptoms to your supervisor before reporting to work: diarrhea and/or vomiting, sore throat with a fever, any infected wound or boil on hands or arms, jaundice, meaning a yellowing of the skin or eyes, exposure to or diagnosis of foodborne illness, especially the big, most highly infectious pathogens causing norovirus, Salmonella and Salmonella typhi, also known as typhoid fever, E. coli, Shigella, or hepatitis A.
Hey guys, Chris is having some unpleasant health symptoms which require her to stay home, so she will not be coming into work today.
Wow, she must be really sick. She never misses a day, unlike some people I know.
Well, Chris did the right thing, and I want you all to know it is your responsibility and duty to report any illnesses so we can prevent a foodborne illness or outbreak. Okay, thanks.
Looks like she's not feeling too well today either. I wonder why she didn't say anything.
Because she used up all her sick days when she wasn't really sick.
I'm back. Well, where is everybody?
The kitchen shut down. No one's working today.
Well, what happened?
We think an employee did not report her foodborne illness to her supervisor. A lot of people have gotten sick and we've had to close down the school.
Do the right thing for you, your team, and the customer. Report illness to your supervisor immediately. For more information on employee health and hygiene, visit our website.
Please review the following video on employee health and personal hygiene, how to handle illness.
Well, I guess you all heard about the closing of RU Sicky Elementary and the foodborne illness outbreak.
Yeah, I heard it was caused by a school cook who came to work sick.
I heard it was caused by pest infestation. Well, I heard it was caused by this kid.
Enough. There are many pathogens that can cause foodborne illness. The investigators will let us all know the root cause eventually. Our main concern is that we follow our food safety policies and procedures. Most importantly, if you're sick or have symptoms of concern, that you let me know immediately. Then I will determine if you're excluded from work or restricted from certain duties on the job to prevent foodborne illness. Agreed?
Agreed.
It is critical that everyone understands the requirements for restricting or excluding symptomatic school nutrition employees. If you are experiencing vomiting, diarrhea, or jaundice, a yellowing of the skin or eyes, you will not be permitted to come to work. This requirement applies to areas where food is received, prepared, stored, packaged, served, vended, transported, or purchased. Susceptible to foodborne illness, such as preschool children, and have a sore throat with a fever, you will be excluded from working in your kitchen. Otherwise, if you have a sore throat with a fever or an infected sore, you may be restricted from working with or around food. If you have been placed on restricted duty, you may work as a cashier, stock canned or packaged food products, or work in cleaning and maintenance outside of the production kitchen. If your symptoms were vomiting or diarrhea, you must be symptom-free for at least 24 hours prior to returning to work. Written documentation from a medical provider is required for sore throat with a fever, and contact your local health department for information on returning to work after hepatitis A diagnosis. Exclusion requirements for school nutrition employees diagnosed with one of the big 6 foodborne illnesses is a must to protect your customers. Norovirus, Salmonella, including Salmonella typhi, also called typhoid fever, E. coli, Shigella, or hepatitis A should be reported immediately. School districts should consult the local regulatory authority, such as the health department, in determining a return to work date.
Hey, Brenda, you got a minute?
Sure, come on in.
Hey, I remember you said to let you know immediately if we had any symptoms before we got to work or once we got here. And I got a sore throat and I'm coming down with a fever. So what do you want me to do for today? I'm supposed to serve in a few minutes.
I think to be on the safe side today, let's restrict your work to non-food duties. Why don't you cashier and I'll let someone else work the serving line?
Sounds like a plan.
Oh, Alicia, have you touched any food or been around the equipment this morning?
Oh, no, I was just breaking down boxes for recycling.
Okay, good. Make sure you wash your hands frequently and stay away from preparing any food or using any equipment.
Gotcha.
Hey Grace, how's it going?
Oh, I'm so proud you selected baby carrots.
Yeah, I'm trying to improve my vision. What are you doing down here at the end of the line?
They put me on restriction.
Oh no, I hope they didn't take your cell phone away.
Do the right thing for you, your team, and the customer. Exclude or restrict symptomatic employees. For more information on employee health and personal hygiene, visit our website.
Please review the following video on preventing illness.
Hello and welcome to my kitchen. I am Super Chef. I can look into your past and predict your future. So let's take a look back at R.U. Sickey Elementary School before it closed due to foodborne illness outbreak. Oh, did you catch that? The employee did not wash her hands after using the restroom. And did she seem like she wasn't feeling well? But wait, there's more. Ah, did you see that? Hang in there. There's no magic in predicting the foodborne illness outbreak caused by this sick employee. What's the first thing the employee should have done when realizing she had gastrointestinal issues?
Report her illness to her supervisor.
And should she be excluded or restricted from work for having diarrhea or vomiting?
Excluded from work and required to go home.
Oh, you guys are smart. So what about hand washing?
Proper hand washing reduces contamination on hands and prevents it from passing to food and equipment. It's so important to practice effective hand washing in the kitchen.
But what about bare hand contact with ready-to-eat foods?
There is no bare hand contact with ready-to-eat food, and replace those contaminated gloves immediately. Also, protect an infected cut or wound and cover with a single-use glove.
Sweet! Do the right thing for you, your team, and the customer. Prevent foodborne illness through proper hand washing and no bare hand contact with ready-to-eat foods. For more information on employee health and personal hygiene, visit our website.
Washing hands and glove usage. Why wash your hands?
Hand washing. You've heard about it your entire life.
But do you really know why it's so important?
I'm Daisy.
And I'm Daniel. And this is A Flash of Food Safety, growing food safety through science, training, and culture, one flash at a time.
Today we'll be discussing the importance of hand washing for school nutrition professionals.
That's right, guys. First and foremost, it's a matter of safety. The CDC and the FDA have identified proper hand washing as one of the most important things a food handler can do to keep school meals safe.
In washing your hands, you can prevent the spread of harmful germs that could contaminate your food and cause foodborne illness.
And as shown here, it is important that we do not underestimate the effects of foodborne diseases. It is estimated that they are responsible for about 3,000 deaths in the United States each year.
That's incredible and frankly a bit scary. Now I'm sure you're all wondering how these foodborne illnesses spread.
Unfortunately, harmful germs can spread in many ways. For example, let's say a food handler is sick and experiencing diarrhea or vomiting. They contaminate their hands and for whatever reason, fail to properly wash their hands. They then handle and contaminate the food that children will eat later. All of a sudden, it's not just the food handler that's sick.
Because it's so easy for harmful germs to spread, it's just as important to wash your hands as it is to know how to wash your hands.
That's right. The FDA recommends that you wash your hands after using the restroom, coughing, sneezing, using a handkerchief or disposable tissue, after handling service or aquatic animals, after touching bare human body parts other than your clean hands.
During food prep, after handling raw food, after using tobacco, eating or drinking, after handling unclean utensils, and after engaging in other activities that may contaminate your hands. And don't forget that you should always wash your hands before putting on gloves.
Now that may sound like a lot to remember, but really it's just a matter of using your common sense to keep yourself and your children safe.
And remember, you can never be too thorough when it comes to hand washing.
Next time on A Flash of Food Safety, we will be teaching you how to properly wash your hands. Have you been doing it wrong your whole life? Tune in next time to find out.
See you then!
How to properly wash your hands.
In our last Flash of Food Safety, we talked about one of the most effective and powerful tools in the fight against foodborne illness, hand washing.
Today, we will be teaching you how to properly use that tool. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Daisy. And this is A Flash of Food Safety, helping to grow food safety through science, training, and culture, one flash at a time. Today, Daniel and I will be guiding you through the simple yet powerful process of hand washing.
So let's say I'm a food handler and I know that I need to wash my hands. What do I do?
First, you want to ensure that you are doing all your hand washing at a designated hand washing sink as specified in the FDA Food Code. Start off by rinsing your hands under clean, running warm water. Next, apply enough soap to properly lather your hands and arms for at least 10 to 15 seconds.
As you do this, be sure to pay particular attention to the back of your hands, arms, between your fingers, and under your nails.
Rinse your hands well under clean, running warm water.
If you can, try to avoid recontaminating your hands by using a paper towel to turn off the water. In touching the sink handles with your bare hands, you might pick up some of those germs you just washed off.
Finally, dry your hands using a paper towel or air dry them.
Nice and simple.
But extremely important. Now that you know how and when to properly wash your hands, as well as why it's so important to do so, especially as a school nutrition professional, you can effectively keep our children safe.
Join us next time on A Flash of Food Safety as we add to our growing arsenal of tools to fight foodborne illnesses. See you then.
Hand washing review. Please pause and discuss the steps of proper hand washing with your staff. Remember the happy birthday song ×2. Use soap and running water. Lather your hands with soap up to the elbows and scrub for 10 to 15 seconds. Wash the backs of hands, wrists, between fingers, and under fingernails. Rinse your hands under running water. Dry your hands with a paper towel or air dryer. Turn off water with the paper towel and use that paper towel to open the door before discarding.
Preventing bare hand contact with ready-to-eat foods. We're going to talk through a little bit of a food preparation scenario. We are going to slice some turkey from a roll and then use that turkey to make turkey and cheese sandwiches. Give the food prep steps for slicing the turkey and assembling the sandwiches. Remember, we want to avoid bare hand contact with the food. Please pause and discuss this food prep scenario. Here's a possible solution. Wash your hands and put on gloves first. Use your gloved hands to handle and slice the turkey, and place sliced turkey in a container. Place in small batches, cover and label, and put into the fridge for use later. When done slicing the turkey, remove gloves, wash hands, and gather equipment and ingredients to make batches of sandwiches. Again, wash hands and put on gloves. Using gloved hands, assemble the sandwiches in small batches. Place sandwiches in clamshell packaging for placement on the serving line. Disposable glove review. Pause and discuss best practices when using disposable gloves. Some best practices when using disposable gloves include wash hands before putting on gloves, wear gloves when preparing and serving ready-to-eat foods, change gloves frequently and between tasks, never handle money and food when wearing the same pair of gloves, never reuse or wash gloves, change gloves and wash hands after sneezing, wiping nose, touching hair, or other contact with germs. Dispose of soiled gloves after use.
Lesson 2, temperatures for food safety. Temperature danger zone. Time and temperature control for safety foods, TCS. Thermometer use, how, when, and why to calibrate a thermometer. Important food temperatures to monitor throughout the food service process.
The temperature danger zone. Keeping foods out of the temperature danger zone is a priority in school nutrition. The danger zone, between 41 and 140 degrees, is the temperature range in which bacteria grow most rapidly. Bacteria can double in number in as little as 20 minutes. At this rate, harmful bacteria can multiply in food to a level capable of causing foodborne illness. It's important to keep hot food above 140 and cold food below 41, and all perishable food out of the danger zone.
Food temperatures. Different food items require different methods of taking temperatures. Explain how you would take the temperature of the following foods: boneless roast, whole turkey, casseroles, hamburger patties, milk, packaged foods, and frozen foods.
Food temperatures. Boneless roast. Insert the thermometer into the middle of the roast. Whole turkey. Insert the thermometer at the thickest part of the meat, avoiding any bones. Casseroles can be checked in the center, also at several points around the casserole. Hamburger patties are thin, so you can use a thermometer to probe that is tip sensitive, or you can pile several patties on top of each other and insert it right through the center. With milk, open a carton and insert thermometer at least 2 inches into the milk. All packaged foods, but thermometers can be put between the packages without puncturing. Frozen food, you can use an infrared thermometer to take a surface temperature, or your bimetallic stem thermometer, again, placing it between 2 packages to get the most accurate reading. Using thermometers.
Using thermometers, it is important to ensure proper temperatures are being met. For example, an employee takes chicken tenders out of the oven when they look done. The children complained that the tenders were cold and frozen on the inside. Because the employee did not use a thermometer to check the temperature of the chicken tenders, they were uncooked and a foodborne illness outbreak could possibly happen.
Using thermometers.
Susie, I was just looking at the freezer temperature record, and I noticed that you forgot to take the last reading on schedule.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got busy and put it off.
Look, I know that things can get really busy around here, but taking temperature readings is extremely important. Remember, the children count on us to keep their food safe.
You're right. I'm sorry. I'll check the temperatures right now.
On the surface, that appears to be a very simple and unimportant scene. But as we delve deeper into the motivation behind that scene, we discover its extreme importance in the production. Food service production, that is.
To keep food safe, temperatures of food need to be taken and recorded throughout the process, from receiving through serving. And the temperatures of storage areas, work areas, and equipment used in food service must be closely monitored as well. All should be in accordance with your state health department standards. First, let's take a look at the temperatures of storage and work areas. Temperatures must be monitored at least once a day. Storerooms for dry goods should be between 50 and 70 degrees. Refrigeration equipment, including walk-in or reach-in refrigerators and milk coolers, should be between 35 and 41 degrees. Below zero. Now let's take a look at food temperatures. Upon delivery, cold food should be between 35 and 41 degrees, and frozen food should be at or below 32 degrees. When storing the food, refrigerated items should be stored at a temperature ranging between 35 and 41 degrees. Frozen food should be stored at a temperature at or below zero. Here's how to take the temperature of foods during the receiving and storing processes. If you're using an infrared thermometer, point it toward the surface of the product and record the temperature. If you're using a stem thermometer or thermocouple, insert it into the product being checked, taking proper precautions to prevent cross-contamination. For bagged items, fold them in half and place the thermometer between the halves, or place it between 2 bags. When preparing or cooking foods, ready-to-eat food should be heated to a minimum of 135 degrees for 15 seconds. Pork should be cooked at 145 degrees for 15 seconds. Ground beef should be cooked at 155 degrees for 15 seconds. And poultry should be cooked at 165 degrees for 15 seconds. 165 degrees for 15 seconds is also the minimum temperature for soups and casseroles and for reheating leftovers. When preparing or cooking foods, the method for taking the internal temperature varies by the type of food. For example, when cooking a whole roast, take the temperature in the center of the roast, being careful to avoid bones, gristle, or fat. If making hamburgers, use a digital thermometer to check internal temperature. When holding foods or serving them, hot foods should be kept at or above 135 degrees, and cold foods should be kept at or below 41. Read and record the temperature by inserting a bimetallic stemmed, digital stemmed or thermistor, thermocouple, or single-use temperature indicator into the item being checked. Finally, in high-temperature dish machines, 180 degrees is the recommended final rinse temperature. Check the temperature by first recording the external temperature on the dish machine. Then use a temperature holding thermometer or single-use temperature indicator that is placed on a tray and run through the machine. If a single-use indicator is used, when the water comes in contact with the surface to be sanitized, the water should be at least 160 degrees. Remember to follow the instructions provided by the machine manufacturer. We also realize that many schools don't have dish machines and only use disposable wares. If this is the case, or if you have a dish machine that requires chemical sanitizers, this may not pertain to your school. Remember, it's vital to document all temperatures each time they are taken. School food service departments use different forms for various steps in the food production process. Always write down the date, time, and temperature, and initial each form. If at any time you discover readings that do not meet safe temperatures, take immediate corrective action. For example, when receiving food or milk, if you find a random sample of the incorrect temperature, you should begin corrective action by rejecting delivery of the products that don't meet temperature requirements and by taking temperature readings of other random samples. Then, report your findings to the food service director or manager so that he or she may take further corrective action. Here's another example. If you remove food from the oven and find that it has not reached the necessary temperature, you should return it to the oven until it reaches the correct temperature, which for this turkey roast is 165 degrees for 15 seconds. Finally, remember to clean, sanitize, and store thermometers properly after each use. To clean thermometers, wash them by hand with soapy water and then rinse. Sanitize thermometers by wiping with alcohol wipes or dipping them in a sanitizing solution that is approved for use on food contact surfaces. Proper storage is important to make sure that thermometers are not damaged and that they consistently measure temperatures accurately. You should store each thermometer in its case. You may also store them in a separate drawer or section of a drawer.
Now, let's go back to see how our two main characters, Deborah and Susie, bring this final episode to a close.
Well, I'm done for the day. I've taken and recorded all of the temperature readings, and I've cleaned and stored all of the thermometers.
Great job. And thanks for noticing that the temperature in the milk cooler was higher than it should be.
I saw that the afternoon reading was warmer than the morning reading, and I knew there was a problem, so I moved all the milk to the refrigerator. Was that the right corrective action to take?
Absolutely. And I've reported the malfunction so that we can get the cooler repaired first thing in the morning. If the milk had been out of the correct temperature range for too long, we would have had to discard it. But you discovered the problem in time to avoid that.
It just goes to show you why taking those temperatures and writing them down is so important.
Now where have I heard that before?
How to calibrate a thermometer. The following image shows how to calibrate a thermometer using the ice water method. The next is a little video showing thermometer calibration.
Used every day in the fight against foodborne illness, thermometers ensure that our food is at the right temperature, making it as safe as possible for our kids to eat.
But what should you do when your trusty thermometer is no longer accurate?
Today, we will be teaching you how to properly calibrate a metal stem thermometer using the ice water method. I'm Daisy.
And I'm Daniel.
And this is a flash of food safety, helping grow food safety through science, training, and culture, one flash at a time. Today, Daniel and I will be showing you how to properly calibrate your thermometers using the ice water method.
Remember that ideally, you should be checking and calibrating your thermometers every day, but definitely at least once a week.
That's right. Now, let's get started. To calibrate your thermometer using the ice water method, start off by filling up a container with ice and then adding a bit of water until it's within 1 inch of the top of the container. Stir it well and let it stand for 1 minute to ensure that it reaches the right temperature.
Next, place the thermometer in the container so that the tip is completely submerged and the water covers the dimple. Let the thermometer sit for at least 30 seconds in the ice water. Make sure that the thermometer stem or probe does not touch the side or the bottom of the container.
Next, while the thermometer is still in water, rotate the calibrating feature that is right underneath the dial until it reaches 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Many thermometers already come with a rotating feature, but if yours doesn't, simply use a small wrench or a calibrating tool like this one to rotate the hex adjusting nut.
Remember that some digital thermometers have a reset button that should be pushed.
After you have calibrated your thermometers, it's a good idea to make a note of the date and time you did the recalibration. This way, other workers know that the thermometers are accurate. And you always have a clear record in case there's a question about food safety. Feel free to jot this down on your temperature log for easy access.
Now that our thermometer has been recalibrated, it's ready for use again.
Next time on A Flash of Food Safety, we will be teaching you how to calibrate a thermometer using the boiling water method.
We'll see you then.
Thermometer calibration review. Pause and discuss the steps to calibrate a thermometer using the ice water method. Thermometer calibration review. First, fill a large container with ice. Then add water to within 1 inch of the rim of the container. Stir mixture well. Let sit for 1 minute. Place the thermometer in the container so that the sensing area of the stem or probe, the dimple, is completely submerged in the water. Prevent thermometer from touching the sides or bottom of container. Let thermometer stay in ice water for 30 seconds or until the dial stops moving on the bimetallic thermometer. For a bimetallic thermometer, place the calibration tool on the hex adjusting nut and rotate until the dial reads 32 degrees. While in ice water, thermometers, follow the manufacturer's directions and press the reset button to calibrate. Next, we have a little video of the Titan Temp Taker, which is coming soon.
Titan School Solutions presents the first mobile temperature application that is directly integrated with your nutrition management platform. It is handheld and offers you real-time updates with no manual recording of temperatures in back-office systems. Our wireless mobile temperature application directly uploads all of your data to your production records and provides immediate and simultaneous visibility in the cafeteria, school, and district. It keeps staff updated if food temperatures fall outside the FDA-approved HACCP controls, helping safeguard your children from foodborne pathogens and nasty illnesses with ugly names, such as Salmonella, E. coli, and Clostridium botulinum from improperly prepared foods. Titan's mobile temperature application enables immediate and proactive response to issues affecting your meal production. Cafeteria managers can see when a problem arises and ensure that the staff serves foods within the FDA-mandated temperature ranges. This means now the cold chain for dairy will be maintained and your meats will be cooked to proper temperatures. Titan's mobile temperature application completely automates the transcription process and significantly reduces human errors. Now you no longer need to laboriously record temperatures on a production worksheet and then manually type it into your nutrition management system at the end of every serving session. With Titan, staff can now print real-time temperature reports directly from your nutrition platform. This provides your auditors with the proof of compliance and objective evidence of meeting meal temperature controls. Titan helps you save time, maintain inventory, and provide your children with the nutritious meal that they deserve. We at Titan are committed to delivering innovative technology to automate and ensure rigorous meal production controls. Our fully integrated mobile temperature application makes your critical control points traceable and reportable to government inspectors, pleasing auditors, keeping children safe, and making parents happy. Titan School Solutions, keeping children safe, making schools stronger.
Safe food through the steps of food process. 1, receiving. 2, storing. 3, preparing. 4, cooking. 5 hot holding, 6 cooling, 7 preheating, 8 transporting. Receiving, cold food at 41 degrees or below, frozen food at or below 32 degrees. Receiving, frozen food should arrive at 32 degrees or below and not show signs of thawing, such as wet boxes and ice crystals in the food. Refrigerated food should arrive at 41 degrees or below. Store food immediately. Food packaging should be not damaged. The truck should also be clean. There should be no sign of pests. If a truck does not meet the specifications needed for good food safety, incorrect temperatures, food not properly stored, or pests present, reject the shipment. This may be manager or director to come help you in contacting distributor. It is important to have a backup meal available for situations like this. For those who transport food to a satellite location or are a satellite location, hot food should be received at 140.
Storing. Your dry storage at 70 degrees. Your refrigerator at 41 or below. Freezer at below 0 or 0.
Storing. Storage areas must be clean and temperature-controlled environments. Storing food out of the temperature danger zone assists in preventing food quality and decreases the likelihood of bacteria growth. Freezers should be between -10 to 0. Refrigerators should be at 41 or below. Dry storage areas between 50 and 70.
Storing. Maintain, monitor, and record refrigerator, freezer, and dry storage room temperatures. This is critical because we need to know if there are problems with your equipment. The only way we're going to realize that is if you keep accurate documents every day. Keep your storage areas clean, dry, and pest-free. Store food in a way that prevents contamination, such as keeping raw food separate from cooked or ready-to-eat products. Store food items at least 6 inches off the floor and 18 inches from the sprinkler head. Keep food in its original packaging for easy identification and label them with their delivery date, including the year. Use the first in, first out, aka FIFO method, for inventory to use your oldest items first. Store your chemicals away from food and food-related supplies. They should be in a separate area of your kitchen.
Storing. Pause and explain and discuss the reasons for using the first in, first out, or FIFO method for inventory. Preparing. Hold cold food at or below 41 degrees. Prepare cold food in small batches. Chill shelf-stable foods prior to preparation. And follow standardized recipes. When preparing, cooking, holding, and serving foods, hold them at the correct temperatures for the correct times to help maintain food quality and safety. Cold food should be held at or below 41 degrees. When preparing cold foods, try to prevent food from sitting out for long periods. Best practices recommend pre-chilling shelf-stable foods to 41 degrees or below prior to preparation. Following standardized recipes and preparing in small batches to maintain quality and keep foods outside the temperature danger zone, which is 41 to 140 degrees. Prepare foods as close to serving time as the menu will allow. Monitor the amount of time cold foods are at room temperature. It cannot exceed a total of 4 hours. If cold food rises into the temperature danger zone, bacteria will begin to grow and food safety will be compromised. Discard cold foods if they remain in the temperature danger zone more than 4 hours.
Cooking, 165 for 15 seconds. That includes poultry, turkey, and other items in that similar category. 155 for 15 seconds for hamburger that's raw. 145 for 15 seconds for like pork roasts. 140 for 15 seconds for frozen vegetables.
Cooking food to the correct internal temperature limits the growth of bacteria, even though it may not kill all bacteria. Cooking is a kill step for pathogens. It's key to cook to the recommended internal temperature within an appropriate time frame to kill bacteria in food. Different foods have different internal temperature requirements based on the bacteria commonly associated with the food and what temperature will kill that bacteria. For example, pork and chicken. E. coli is often associated with ground beef. Therefore, it is recommended to cook ground beef to 155 to kill any possible E. coli bacteria. Examples of the final cooking temperature include 140 for pre-cooked pizza, frozen vegetables, 145 for roast beef or pork roast, 155 for raw hamburger, scrambled eggs for holding, and taco meat, 165 for roast turkey, stuffed pasta shells, or leftover chili. Notice that all cooking temperatures are above the temperature danger zone, between 41 and 140. Cook all foods to the required internal temperature for a minimum of 15 seconds before serving, with the exception of roasts, which need to be at 145 for at least 4 minutes. Use a clean, calibrated food thermometer to check the internal temperature of foods and record internal food temperatures. Remember, hot holding is 140 on the line.
Next, we're going to watch a little video on why batch cooking is important.
Hi, I'm Chef Cindy. What if I told you there was a cooking method that produces high-quality food, helps reduce food waste, and minimizes food safety risk? If you could maximize customer satisfaction by offering all menu items for everyone, then you'd be interested, right? Well, I tell you, it's possible with batch cooking, also known as just-in-time for service. So why doesn't everyone cook this way? Ooh, fear of the clock, fear of running out of food with customers standing in line. Batch cooking is all about timing, and it takes planning and effort, but the payoff rewards you with more students to nourish. Take a look at our tips to batch cooking.
Batch cooking is broken down into 3 types: quick batch and long batch. Quick batch is for products that you can easily cook in batches, such as steamed vegetables or pizza, during the service period. These foods cook in 5 to 20 minutes or during one meal period. You can easily determine if you're running low and prepare more before serving time is over. This method satisfies every reason to batch cook. Small batch is for products that you can change the preparation method in the last few minutes of serving to quickly cook small amounts and still maintain good quality. For example, heating food in a commercial microwave. In this example, rather than prepare a pan of 32 servings with 28 left over, 4 were prepared quickly without overproduction. Finally, long batch is for products where cooking time is longer and the length of serving time is longer than 2 to 2.5 hours. When this occurs, foods may be cooked in batches to preserve the quality of the food, even though you may not be able to react as precisely to customer demand for the product, meaning you need more or less food. For example, casseroles or baked potatoes may need to be prepared in 2 or 3 batches if you're serving from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. to prevent holding periods of over 3 hours, which can reduce the quality. After the first lunch period, you may have some insight into the demand, but not in the immediate way that quick batch allows. To speed quick batch of frozen vegetables, plan forecasted amount 1 day in advance in 2-inch perforated pans. Place inside a solid pan. Also, avoid overloading or using the wrong pan. 5 pounds of corn heats in 3 to 4 minutes, where 10 pounds of frozen corn may take up to 20 minutes. Determine how long it takes to steam your thawed vegetables. Cooking times will vary according to equipment used. 10 to 20 minutes prior to service, place the first pan of vegetables in the steamer to cook. Prepare the anticipated amount for the first serving group. Repeat the process as needed. Using a cycle menu makes planning more reliable. When stir-frying or cooking on an action station, consider blanching larger pieces of vegetables, such as broccoli or cauliflower, in the steamer a day ahead. Immediately chill florets on a sheet pan in the refrigerator to 41 degrees. And remember, packaged pre-cooked foods such as taco meat or macaroni and cheese should always be thawed in advance to allow for quick batch cooking. By using forecasted servings as a guide for planning and preparing for batch cooking, you will ensure fresh quality meals are served to students.
Holding and serving. Keep hot food at 140 degrees or above, and keep cold foods at 41 degrees or below. It is important to hold foods at proper temperatures before serving. After cooking hot food to the correct internal temperature, hold at 140 degrees or above. This prevents any bacteria from growing. You can hold hot food using equipment like hot holders, warming ovens, and steam tables. This equipment is designed for holding foods and should not be used to cook or reheat foods. Monitor and record temperatures of food and equipment on logs. Hold cold foods at 41 degrees or below to limit bacterial growth. Methods like ice baths, cold wells, and refrigerators can hold cold foods at the proper temperature before service. Pause and discuss what could happen if food is not served at the correct temperature.
Cooling. Cooling food is important steps as you move hot foods quickly through the temperature danger zone. Cooling occurs when the food ingredients are prepared a day ahead or when there are leftovers. Cool hot food from 140 to 70 within 2 hours. If not achieved, reheat the food to 165 for 15 seconds and restart the cooling process, or discard the food. Cool hot food from 140 to 41 within a total of 6 hours. If step 1 is achieved, for foods that start at room temperature at 70 degrees, cool them to 41 within 4 hours. Different active cooling methods include placing food loosely covered in a shallow containers no more than 2 inches deep on the top shelf of the back of the wall, or reach-in cooler, and stirring using a quick chill unit such as a blast cooler, placing the containers of food in an ice water bath and stirring, separating food into smaller or thinner portions, using an ice paddle stick to stir cooling foods, record cooling temperatures and times on a cooling log to provide evidence of proper cooling procedures. Once food is cooled, store foods in appropriately covered and labeled the product name and date prepared. Preheating 165 for 15 seconds within 2 hours. Reheating. When you reheat food, you bring it through the temperature danger zone. Is it important to do this as quickly as possible? Reheat foods to 165 within 2 hours to reduce the opportunity for microorganisms to grow. Disregard leftovers. Reheat foods after service is encouraged since it reduces the quality of food to reheat it. Never reheat food in hot holding equipment. Only equipment that is appropriate for cooking food. Monitor and record internal temperatures of foods.
Lesson 3, avoiding contamination of food. There are 3 types of food contamination: methods for preventing food contamination, and how proper cleaning, rinsing, and sanitizing can prevent food contamination. 3 types of food contamination: cross-contamination, cross-contact, and chemical contamination. Cross-contamination is the transfer of pathogens such as bacteria, viruses, and parasites from hand to food to food, or equipment and contact surfaces to food. Cross-contamination is one of the most common causes of foodborne illness. Hand-to-food cross-contamination, method, and prevention. Hand-to-food cross-contamination involves pathogens being transmitted from an employee to the food. An example of this would be if an employee did not properly wash their hands after using the restroom and then touched cheese used to prepare sandwiches. Hand to food cross-contamination. Pause and discuss some of these things we can do to prevent this type of contamination. How to prevent hand to food cross-contamination. Wash hands properly, frequently, and at appropriate times. Wash hands before putting on single-use gloves and change gloves frequently. Wear your gloves or use utensils when handling ready-to-eat foods. Cover cuts, sores, and wounds with a clean bandage and a single-use glove. Keep fingernails short, unpolished, and clean. Do not wear jewelry except for a plain band such as a wedding ring, and do not allow sick employees to work.
Food-to-food cross-contamination. Food-to-food cross-contamination involves one food transferring pathogens to another food. For example, raw chicken is stored in a bag on the top shelf of the refrigerator. The bag leaks, dripping raw chicken juice containing salmonella onto foods stored on or below the shelves. To prevent this, you should thaw the raw chicken in a container like a steam table pan and place the container on the bottom shelf to keep chicken from dripping into other foods, causing cross-contamination. Store food on shelves according to their internal cooking temperature. Foods with the highest internal temperatures are stored on the lowest shelf. Ready-to-eat foods should be stored near the top shelf. What are some other methods we could use to prevent food-to-food cross-contamination? Separate meats and other raw products from ready-to-eat food, eating, storage, and preparation. Separate different types of raw animal foods such as eggs, fish, meat, and poultry from each other except when combined in recipes. Store foods according to final cook temperature. Separate unwashed fruits and vegetables from washed fruits and vegetables and other ready-to-eat foods. Place food in covered containers or packages, except during cooling. Store or cooler. Thaw the food properly. Properly clean, rinse, and sanitize all food contact surfaces between contact with raw products and fresh or ready-to-eat products.
Equipment or contact surface to food cross-contamination. Equipment or contact surfaces to food cross-contamination may occur when a piece of equipment or food contact surface has not been cleaned properly, allowing pathogens to remain on that surface. Any other food that touches this equipment or food contact surface will be exposed to the remaining bacteria or virus. Equipment or contact surface to food cross-contamination. Pause and discuss examples of how equipment or contact surface to food cross-contamination can occur. An example of this would be not cleaning the blade of a can opener. Since this blade touches the food in the can, it will get dirty. Without proper cleaning, this blade may have bacteria on it that can be transferred onto every can it opens. To prevent this, we should properly clean, rinse, and sanitize the can opener blade before and after each use.
Equipment and contact surface to food cross-contamination prevention. Use dry, clean, and sanitize equipment and utensils for food preparation. Clean and sanitize work tables, equipment, and cutting boards after each use and before beginning a new task. Use separate cutting boards for different foods, like raw meats and fresh produce. This practice also applies to different types of meat. Using separate chicken and then prepare raw beef. If separate cutting boards are not available, wash, rinse, sanitize, and air dry the cutting boards between tasks. Equipment and contact surface to food cross-contamination prevention. Clean and sanitize surfaces that are handled often, such as refrigerator and freezer handles. Use only dry, cleaned, and sanitized containers for food storage. Cover all foods well and label them and date them. Maintain a fresh bucket of cleaning solution and fresh bucket of sanitizing solution in the work area so that cleaning and sanitizing can be done easily. Chemical contamination.
Chemical contamination. Chemical contamination happens when food is unintentionally exposed to chemicals. Improperly storing and using chemicals can result in chemicals getting into food. Pause and think of an example how chemical contamination could occur in your school. An example would be a school nutrition employee who does not read the directions for a chemical sanitizer and makes the concentration too strong. This stronger sanitizer is used on a food contact surface and leaves a residue. Now this residue has the potential to get into any food that comes in contact with the surface.
What are some things we can do to prevent chemical contamination? Store chemicals away from food products. Do not use chemicals in an area where food is being prepared. Store chemicals in original containers with labeling information. Never use food containers for chemicals or chemical containers for food. Use chemicals only for recommended purposes. Use safety data sheets, SDS, provided by the manufacturer to ensure chemicals are stored and used properly. Check the concentration of the sanitizing solution with a sanitizing test kit to make sure it is at appropriate levels to sanitize. Teach employees how to use chemicals.
Cross-contact contamination. Cross-contact occurs when an allergen accidentally transfers from one food to another food or from contact surface to food that does not contain the allergen. For example, if breaded chicken patties containing wheat and soy were baked on a sheet pan, and then that same pan was used to make French fries without properly washing, rinsing, and sanitizing the pan in between the two foods, this is cross-contact because the French fries have been exposed to potential allergens. Pause and give an example of how cross-contact contamination could occur. Again, an example if breaded chicken patties containing wheat and soy were baked on a sheet pan, and then that same pan was used to make French fries, without properly washing, rinsing, and sanitizing the pan between the two foods. This is cross-contact because the French fries have been exposed to potential allergens.
Cross-contact contamination prevention. Follow proper hand washing procedures and wash hands before preparing allergen-free foods. Also, wash hands between handling allergen-free foods and foods that contain allergens. Wear single-use gloves and change appropriately. Use a clean apron when preparing allergen-free food. Wash, rinse, and sanitize all utensils, equipment, and food contact surfaces before and after each use.
Isolate allergen-free ingredients in storage and during preparation. If possible, designate an allergy-free zone in the kitchen. When working with multiple food allergies, set up procedures to prevent cross-contact within the allergy-free zone. Prepare allergen-free foods first. Wrap and label them with name, color code, or sticker, and place them on the top storage shelf until service. Use clean pot holders and oven mitts for allergen-free foods to prevent cross-contact. Use color-coded utensils, equipment, or designate equipment and utensils for allergen-free foods. Please note those items should be kept separate, even when cleaning, from other equipment used in the kitchen. Cleaning, rinsing, and sanitizing. It is important to begin with proper cleaning, rinsing, and sanitizing of all food contact surfaces, equipment, and utensils. General cleaning, rinsing, and sanitizing can prevent cross-contamination, chemical contamination, and cross-contact.
Cleaning, rinsing, and sanitizing. There are 4 steps to proper cleaning and sanitizing for food contact surfaces. Number 1, wash or scrub the surface with detergent solution to clean. 2, rinse surface with clean water to remove debris and detergent. 3, sanitize surface using a sanitizing solution safe for food contact surfaces and mixed at the concentration specified on the manufacturer's label. And 4, allow items to air dry.
These steps are effective at preventing some instances of food contamination. The washing, scrubbing, and rinsing steps are effective at removing an allergen from a food contact surface. Washing and rinsing steps are preventative steps of cross-contamination because they remove food particles, which makes sanitizing ineffective. The sanitizer step, when done properly, can reduce the chance of chemical and cross-contamination.
If the chemical sanitizer is prepared to the proper concentration, the sanitizer will not form a residue and will be effective. For chlorine, this means that the sanitizer concentration needs to be between 50 and 100 ppm, or parts per million, and for quaternary ammonium, the concentration should be as indicated by the manufacturer's use directions. For cross-contamination, a properly prepared sanitizer is effective in killing microorganisms that may be on that surface. Air drying is also important as you reduce the risk of reintroducing the microorganisms from a drying cloth.
Washing utensils. Washing equipment and utensils. Equipment used to prepare food like utensils, cutting boards, and pans can be cleaned using a 3-compartment sink. These steps are the same for washing dishes: clean, rinse, sanitize, and air dry.
For a 3-compartment sink, each sink has a separate function. Number 1, in the first compartment, wash with a clean detergent solution at or above 110 degrees or at the temperature specified by the detergent manufacturer. In the second compartment, rinse with clean water. In the third compartment, sanitize with a sanitizing solution mixed at a concentration specified on the manufacturer's label. Test the chemical sanitizer concentration by using an appropriate test kit. Monitor and record temperatures and sanitize concentrations for a 3-compartment sink. When done correctly, general cleaning, rinsing, and sanitizing of the food contact surface is an effective tool to reduce the risk of food contamination in your school nutrition program. Pause and review the 4 steps to proper cleaning and sanitizing the food contact surfaces.
Step 1, wash, scrub the surface with detergent solution to be clean. Step 2, rinse the surface with clean water to remove debris and detergent. 3, sanitize the surface using a sanitizing solution safe for food contact surfaces and mixed at the concentration specified on the manufacturer's label. 4, allow items to air dry.
Thank you. This concludes our presentation on food safety and sanitation.